Hey, what's going on, you guys? Welcome to another Mind Body Spirit Development class. Um, we're not doing a normal event where I invite I try to invite people, or I try to make it into a big thing. For the next couple weeks, these are just going to be solo. To be honest, they have been solo casts, like for the last several months that I've been doing this. But we'll talk about that more a little bit later. But for right now, let's go ahead and get started in on our workout. So as you guys know, I only like to get people started with like one workout or two workouts, but mainly just one workout because I want people I want people to take their time with their fitness journey, because it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. I'm sure I'm not the first person that you've heard this from. It is a very slow and steady race. It takes time to lose weight. It takes time to grow. It takes time to get stronger. You give yourself at least 4 to 6 months before you even start to scratch the surface. It just takes time. I've been working out for 10 years. I'm not where I want to be physically, or as far as strength goes. I'm just not there yet. But that's also largely due to the fact that there have been a lot of ups and downs. But the difference between me and people that have decided, hey, you know what, this is just a speed bump in the road, but I'm going to keep going. The difference between people like that and people like me is I've been making excuses, and that has to stop. Everybody makes excuses. We all have a long list of excuses, that just go on forever, and there are always more excuses than there are solutions. And you have to be the one, like I do. I have to be the one that decides, hey, you know what? I'm going to look for the solution. And what I'm about to show you right now is the solution to what we're going to be talking about today, which is finding your purpose. What is your why? Why do you exist? Why are you, why are you doing something? Do you just work a job so that you can get a paycheck? Do you just work a job for status? Do you just work a job because it can afford you retirement, a pension? Over time you get to build up a good old net. Why do you do what you do? Is what we're going to unpack later today. But first, I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys today's workout. So we're gonna do lunges, and hopefully you guys can see me okay, because what this is, it's basically like an isolated squat. And I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys what I mean by that. So to give you a better view, I'm just gonna go ahead and face this way. But it's like I always teach, when it comes to form, you have to make sure that you have good posture. And one of the best ways to start by having good posture is to relax the shoulders. Make sure that you roll your shoulders back. Make sure that you keep your back straight. And make sure when you're standing up straight, this might honestly be the most important part of this exercise, more than the actual exercise itself. Because if you do it the wrong way and your form sucks and you're kind of slouching down while you're doing it, or maybe you're adding on too much weight, well, not only are you not going to get stronger and you're not going to build muscle, you're not going to lose fat, but you will inevitably hurt yourself. Okay, so we want to try and avoid that. So one of the ways to avoid unnecessary injury, especially as you get older, is you gotta make sure that when you're standing up straight and you're forming good posture, you want to pretend like you're doing back rows. Okay, so you want to almost like bring your elbows a little bit almost past your lats here. Okay, you want to squeeze. You want to kind of squeeze those lats. So you want to roll your shoulders back. Okay, that's number one. Number two is keep your back straight. Keep your head moving forward. Make sure that you're looking ahead, straight at the wall, or in my case at the window over here. And you want to make sure that you take a few, and I want to say at least 5 nice breaths. Okay, so and you'll want to do those like 5 seconds each. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that you breathe in throughout your mouth and throughout your nose. Okay, both of those outlets are really important for breathing. So what you want to do is hold that in for 5 seconds. Just count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in your head. Okay, we're going to take 4 more deep breaths. Okay, last one. Stay with me, you guys. And one last thing that I should have finished with before I started the breathing exercise is you want to make sure that your toes are pointed straight towards the wall. And you want to make sure that your hips, that your feet are about shoulder width. Okay, so make sure that your toes are directly parallel to your shoulders. And what you want to do is, with a lunge, you just put one foot in front of the other. So you go 1. You know what? I'm actually going to bring this down for you guys so that you can see my legs. Okay, so what you want to do is you want to first, and I'm gonna just stay in one place for you guys so that you can get it. So what you want to do is bring 1 foot forward like this, and you want to make sure that this foot right here that I'm pointing at is planted firmly on the ground, and the other one in the back, same thing. Only when you're lunging forward like this, you want to make sure you only come down about halfway here. And then you just spring up, tuck those glutes in nice and tight. And when I say glutes, I mean buttocks. I mean your ass. But remember, you don't want to come too far down like this. Okay? But you also, unless you have some kind of physical limitation that I'm unaware of, you don't want to half-ass it like this, but you do want to come down about halfway at least. Just do the best that you can. So, I'm not trying to end the video. So what I hope you guys understand from what I showed you, and then obviously what you want to do is you want to just do like one at a time. So you go this leg, and then you switch, and then you go to that leg. That's how you do a lunge. So we're gonna go ahead and do 3 sets of 10, and we're gonna get in some really good ones. Remember, do the best that you can. Be a little bit slower if you need to, but we're gonna go ahead and get started now. So let's go. 1. 1. We're going to do the same set for each leg. 2. 2. 3. 3. 4. 4. 5. 5. 6. 6. 7. 7. 8. 8. 9. 9. Notice how I'm keeping my back straight. 10. And 10. Okay, go ahead and relax. Take a nice deep breath. Take a few nice deep breaths. If you have a dry cloth available, make sure you wipe yourself down so that you're not sweating too much. Go ahead and get a drink of water if you need to. But we gotta go ahead and get these next couple sets out of the way because we gotta move on to today's episode here. So set number 2, let's go. 1. 1. 2. 2. 3. 3. 4. 4. 5. 5. 6. 6. 7. 7. 8. 8. 9. 9. 10. And 10. Okay, go ahead and relax. Dry yourself off. Get yourself some water. This last set, I'm going to go ahead and show you guys the side. So that, again, you can have a better idea of what to do. But I also want to go ahead and just make it known that if you have a really hard time counting your reps, because I don't know, maybe you have ADD or you have ADHD and you can't really do that in your head, do it out loud. Even if you have to do it under your breath, or you have to do it, or you have to yell, whatever you have to do. It doesn't matter how other people look at you. It doesn't matter if other people look at you weird. You're just doing what you have to do. And if other people are going to judge you for that, well, then so be it. But the one thing that you don't want to do is you don't want to miscount your reps, because you don't want to do too little and you don't want to do too much, right? You want to do whatever your sweet spot is. And then once you can graduate from whatever your sweet spot is, then you can take it up a notch and you can make it more intense. You can make it harder, right? As time goes on. But one more set. I'm going to go ahead and show you guys from the side. 1. 1. 2. 2. 3, 3, 4, 4, 5, 5, 6, 6, 7, 7, 8, 8, 2 more, 9, 9, 10, and 10. Great job, you guys. Well, I can't really see you from over here, but I already know that that you did a really good job. You did the best that you could, and that's all you can really do. It doesn't matter what anybody else is doing. It doesn't matter if you see some, some kid in his early 20s squatting 500 pounds when his form is completely off, but he just wants to go in and look like this big old macho, CrossFit guy. The worst thing that you can do, especially when you're on your fitness journey, is compare yourself to other people, because number one, that's not good for your soul, and number two, you could potentially either really hurt yourself or, to an even bigger extreme, kill yourself. So it is very 100% essential that you do not do that, and I can't make that clear enough. So okay, let's go ahead and get into today's message. Remember, drink some water. Drink a lot of water. Drink at least a gallon or close to a gallon a day. Trust me, it took a little bit out of me too. But let's go ahead and get into it. What is your why? What is your purpose? And if you don't know what that is, have you thought of it? Have you given it? Do you have any ideas of what that might be? What do you find fun? What do you find exciting? What is it about you that maybe most other people get turned off by what you do or how you are, but to you, you find yourself funny. You find yourself pleasurable to be around. You enjoy your own company. That's the key right there to any, whether you're trying to get your foot in the door, you're really like you're in the middle of your career field right now and you're trying to get better. The same applies to work environment. The same applies to trying to start a business. The same applies to relationships. If you do not enjoy your own company, if you do not like yourself, if you do not love yourself, how can you expect other people to? How can you expect to become successful if you're always doubting yourself? If you're always putting yourself down? If you are always your own worst enemy? I'm going to tell you guys a story really quick about what happened to me last night, because I was super, not that this surprises anybody that's close to me, but I've been very negative over the last couple days. And what's weird about sudden depression or panic attacks, so on and so forth, is that you didn't necessarily have to be depressed or anxious at the beginning. You didn't necessarily have to have certain thoughts go through your head and, be obsessed about something that bothers you. It just comes out of nowhere. like a thief in the night. It just hits you, and you don't know why. You don't understand. You don't understand why you're so upset, or why all these different things are happening to you. But it just hits us out of nowhere, right? Sometimes, and it did for me over the last couple of days, and it really affected me. Like at my job and with doing this, and it could be because maybe I need a new environment. If I'm being honest, like I really do, because who you surround yourself with is exactly what you're going to be. It's like Will Smith. Will Smith said this, I think, about 20 years ago, that you are who you hang with. So whoever your friends are, whoever your family is, that's exactly who you're going to be. And look, it doesn't necessarily mean that you don't love them, or that you don't care about them, or that you don't like them, or that you wish them any kind of ill will or anything like that. It just means that they're not necessarily a good fit for you in terms of like a serious relationship, like a serious dating relationship, or a marriage, or a roommate situation, or a business partnership. They're just not the right fit. And maybe you're not the right fit for them, and so that's why you find that you guys are always colliding, and you're butting heads, and you're not getting along. When in any other situation, maybe like you could be running into them on the street, or you could be working out at the gym. Maybe you see them at the gym all the time. Maybe you guys are better in those scenarios, right? Maybe it's always nice to see them when you see them walking down the street, right? But not necessarily in a serious partnership where you guys you live together, and you share a space with each other. You share the same kitchen. You share the same living room. Your rooms are right across the hall from each other. And so you have to be around their energy constantly. And maybe it's positive, maybe it's negative. But I think the goal here is to be influenced by your own energy. And that can be really hard to do if whoever you're surrounding yourself with all the time is always very, very low frequency, likes to put themselves down a lot, thinks that the world is always out to get them. If you're around that all the time, that's going to be you. Whether you want to believe that that you're above that, and that'll never affect you, it does affect you. It really absolutely 100% does. And if you believe otherwise, you are a fool. Because positive or negative energy are contagious. It spreads. If you're around somebody who is positive and is always happy, well, then you're going to be positive, and you're going to be happy, and chances are you're going to make other people happy. You're going to make other people feel like there's hope, and that's what we all really need in our society, is hope. We need more and more people. I get that there's a lot of negativity. Every time you go on social media, every time you turn on the news, every time you turn on the television, it's just you can't go a day without just hearing something that went on, something that happened, and it doesn't necessarily have to do with what's going on in this country, but it could be, oh, look, a celebrity, they got divorced, or, oh, look, so-and-so's podcast numbers are going down because they're getting accused of X, Y, and Z, and so they're getting canceled. If you're just constantly if you're just inundated with that, if your mind is cluttered with all that stuff all the time, there's a very high likelihood that you are not going to get anything done. You are not going to succeed because you just have all this information that is just constantly bringing you down. And I'm not telling anybody, to just bury your head in the clouds and not pay attention to what's going on. But the one thing that you don't want to do is make that your life, because, unfortunately, as part of what I'm doing over here, I have to talk about what's going on, because if other people are aware of certain bills that are being passed, legislation, certain orders that are people are talking about, if people are aware and they know what to do, and they hear from somebody that has solutions, and that there's my sister, and that has that is just high energy and that is positive. If you hear from somebody like that, hang on just one second, Danielle. I saw my other phone go off. I don't know if you were trying to call me or text me, but whatever it's about, when we get finished here, I'll call or text you. Anyway, sorry guys. But if you are listening to somebody that, they do talk about, they do try to make people aware, right? But it's not like they're just all gloom and doom all the time, right? There's an obvious difference between somebody who is just always doom and gloom and is always negative versus somebody that tries to shine a light on all the same things that you would be talking about if you were negative and gloom and doom all the time. Is that they try to provide you the information, right? And you can take it or leave it. I mean, we've seen it, right? People are stubborn now. People, they have their own version of reality, and usually it doesn't really match up with what reality really is. But everybody sees things through a different lens than other people, right? And so the one thing that you don't want to do is, number one, be negative and have no solutions. That's an obvious one. And number two, you don't want to try and force the information, right? I've seen a lot of influencers, and I'm guilty of this myself, where we have, over the last few years, we've been very abrasive. We've tried to force our hands maybe a little bit too much, and when you do that and you're mean about it, you're being a dick about it, people are not going to listen. Point blank, people are not going to take you seriously. They're just going to see you as this, this unhinged, uneducated, very, very biased, very negative person of influence. And unfortunately, I think that we as a society, more than anything, have made a really bad habit of making that the status quo. Instead of trying to come up with solutions, or trying to unify, or trying to lift people up, as opposed to bringing them down, we've just been caught up in these culture wars lately that as we've seen, just aren't going anywhere, right? Because all culture wars really are, I mean, they're a paper tiger, right? It's just a trend. It's just that, you know, we as human beings crave conflict. We crave drama. You know, we want hardship. We want discomfort. You can say whatever you want, you know, about everybody, you know, wanting, you know, like balance, you know, and you know, like we need to just sit back and take it easy on ourselves. But at the end of the day, we're all human beings, and we want the exact opposite of that, because you could be somebody who is just sitting around and you're being compensated by you know, by some government program, and you're playing video games all day, you're eating Cheez-Its all day and drink Dr. Pepper all day, and you think, and maybe you even fantasize about a lifestyle like that, because you see that as a life where you just don't worry anymore, and you can relax, and you don't have to work your butt off 24/7. You may see it that way on the surface, but then what happens when you actually immerse yourself in that type of lifestyle? Well, you start to get really depressed. You start drinking a lot. All you do is smoke weed all day. All you do is take edibles, and you know, you smoke weed, or you drink, you know, or you eat fast food, or you know, you're overeating, and you're not moving, you're not working out, you're not doing cardio. You know, what could be a better life than that? Well, you know, I've seen it where people, they actually do, and they can live a life like that, and they are miserable. They don't have a purpose. They don't have a why. They don't have any kind of structure in their life. And the only thing that they can come up with to replace that is by causing some kind of drama, whatever that is, some kind of conflict, something that's uncomfortable. It's probably not, it's probably negative discomfort. You know, I think people voluntarily immerse themselves in discomfort for the right reasons, and then some do it for the wrong reasons. So, you know, I mean, that's why I've said, and other people have said, that, you know, whether you choose a comfortable life or an uncomfortable life, discomfort is just going to show up at your doorstep, no matter what. It's always going to be there. So what do you do about that? Well, maybe you start by getting a little bit uncomfortable. And that doesn't necessarily mean working 24 hours a day. It doesn't mean, you know, doing rigorous workouts that you're not ready for, you know. It doesn't mean go out and hurt yourself. It doesn't mean be impatient with yourself, but what it does mean is, you know, just going out and doing something simple, something that maybe is a cakewalk to other people, is super easy for other people, but to you, it's impossible, or it's close to impossible, or it's scary, right? Like, you know, let's say, hey, you know what? I'm really depressed. And I'm really anxious, and I'm just so tired of feeling like this. But I don't necessarily want to work out right now. I don't think I'm ready for a gym membership, but I think I want to go out and take a walk. I haven't been outside in months. I think I'm just gonna do that then. I'm just gonna go out for my walk. And you do that, you go out for your walk, and you do that, 3 times a week and then 5 times a week. Eventually you're going to get tired of just walking all the time. It's boring. So now you've lost enough weight. Now you're healthy enough to start doing cardio. So, you start doing a couple laps around your block or around your neighborhood. And then eventually you're going to want to work out. You're going to want to train, because again, everything is gradual. It's not a race. Human beings are not meant to just be thrown into the wolves. We are meant to start steady and slow. You have to dip your toes into the water of the pool before you go out to the deep end, because what happens when you go out to the deep end and you're not ready? You drown, right? So what we just talked about is something that you have to really, really consider if you haven't found your purpose yet. Because maybe subconsciously you know what that is, but you're not exactly sure. It's almost like you're living with imposter syndrome every day. And if I could just be brutally honest with you guys, I've been struggling with that. I've been struggling with imposter syndrome, which is very normal. So if you're somebody out there who is trying to do something and you're doing it, but you kind of feel like you're biting off more than you can chew. You kind of feel like you're not ready, or you kind of feel like you're not qualified. I get it. But the best thing that you can do when you're in the midst of that is to it's to find things in your life that provide happiness. And I'm not talking about an instant dopamine hit that you get from looking at your phone for hours on end. I'm talking about the subtle micro dopamine hits that you get just from going out for a walk. Is even less of a dopamine. You're not going to run out of dopamine as fast as you would if you going out for a walk, as if you would staring at your phone all day. Think about this. You will run out of dopamine faster by looking at your phone all day than you would if you just went to the gym for 45 minutes or an hour and a half. Really think about that, because if you're just using up all of your dopamine within an hour's time, you are going to be sad, you're going to be depressed, you're not going to have any meaning, you're not going to have any purpose. But I just want to let you know right now that even if you don't know what that is yet, do not think of yourself as just a passerby. Do not think of yourself as just some as just a bag floating in the wind somewhere. Because you're not. You were born, you are here for a purpose. And whether it takes you 10 years, whether it takes you 15, 20, it really doesn't matter. Because once you can start to do things that lower your serotonin, right, and give you those energy boosts that you need to make yourself feel better and feel good about yourself. Once you can do that, you are well on your way to finding out who you are. And imposter syndrome will be a thing of the past. So I'm pretty sure I have more to talk about here, but I want to just go ahead and get into today's scripture, because I think it's very fitting for this special episode. So this is Paul again talking to the church of Corinth, and just to give you guys a little bit of context. People didn't want to believe that Jesus was, as he proclaimed, the Messiah. But if you really look into it and you start to do your own research, he didn't really, he's the Son of God, but he's not God, right? He is the Son of God sent down from God himself to bring enlightenment, to bring people perspective, to give people a new life. That's exactly what the death and resurrection, that's what that's all about. And I think the one thing that Jesus didn't want was all this, was all this, what do you call it? What was all this dystopia surrounding him, and whether or not he is the Messiah, and whether or not he is the Son of God. But he didn't want to just make it about that. He wanted to give people hope that you can become a new person, that you can evolve, and that you can and that you don't have to let your sinful nature define you. That's all he really wanted. But I want to go ahead and get into 17. Second Corinthians 5 verses 17. It says, anyone, excuse me, anyone, oh my God, anyone who belongs to Christ is a new person. The past is forgotten and everything is new. So you are a brand new person. But I'm just gonna talk to you guys really quick about exactly what he's referring to. So when he's talking about becoming a new person, what does that mean? It just means becoming a new and improved version of who you are. It doesn't mean that you're going to be perfect. It doesn't mean that you're not going to get mad, or that you're not going to get upset, or that you're not going to get anxious, or that you're not going to make any mistakes, or that you have to become this false caricature of who you are. You try to come off as some kind of like holy roller, or some kind of look at me, like I believe in Jesus, I believe in God, so that's why I don't drink, and that's why I don't cuss, that's why I don't do this, that's why I don't do that. that's that's not a real person. That is not you. That is just you trying to create this version of yourself that you think is going to be pleasing in God's eyes, or give you give you some kind of brownie points. It's not, it's fake. You're not doing yourself any favors by doing that. I mean, if you're worried that about what other people are going to think about you, if you're worried, if you're gonna go to hell if you do this, why would you worry about going to hell if you believe that you are saved? Why would you worry about that? If you really do believe in Jesus and the death and resurrection and the purpose for why this isn't the outcome that was intended. I think American culture, although I do love America, I am I am very thankful that I was born here and not somewhere else. But I think American culture over the last 100, 200 years has really diluted what Christianity actually means. Throughout time, people have created different versions. They have created different drafts. They've even cut some books out of the Bible completely out. The book of I think it's, we'll get to that sometime later. But Enoch, the book of Enoch is not in the Bible, but it used to be. But why isn't it anymore? Those are questions you should, if you really are serious about your faith, those are some questions that you should ask yourself, right? I mean, if you really are serious about your faith, and you really do want other people to, there's a difference between trying to influence other people, what's working for you, and what is benefiting you, and what is saving you. It's really hard to influence other people when it becomes more about just getting other people to drink the Kool-Aid rather than influence other people to become better versions of themselves. Because really think about what was said there. A new person. What does that mean? So if you're trying to become a new person, and you're still, your diet is still horrible. Your marriage is still, your marriage is still on the rocks. You're not working things out. You're still being deceitful. You're still lying, and you're still berating your wife, or you're berating your kids. But you claim to be this new person. It's not about not cussing or not believing certain things, not believing in astrology because you think that astrology is witchcraft or whatever, people want to call it. It's not about just trying to abide by the status quo of Christianity. It's not at all. It's about how is your presence affecting other people? What are you contributing into this world? Are you contributing positivity, or are you contributing negativity? do you find yourself, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what it is. If you are in some kind of profession, maybe you're a cop, first responder, what have you, and you're really good at your job, and you're very protective, and everybody thinks of you as this hero, this martyr, but at home you're just this piece of shit that's always yelling at his wife, that is always demeaning his kids. If you're a completely different person outside than you are behind closed doors, then what does it really matter? You're not a new person at all. You are exactly where you were before. The only difference is that you're being inauthentic. You're trying to put on a show for everybody, but guess what? It's not working. People aren't buying it. And you're not buying it either. You know that you're full of shit. You know that you're not this new person that you claim to be. I'm this new person. I'm saved. I'm a Christian. I found Jesus. Or like I was on and off drugs for 10, 20 years, and now I'm stone cold sober. Or I've been in therapy for years, and I still go to therapy, and I'm just this perfect healed new person when really the only reason that I'm still going to therapy 10, 20 years, still going to the same therapist. The same therapist is at the point where where they're sick of talking to me. They're sick of hearing my bullshit. Then you're not a new person, right? You're not healed. You are taking away from what the goal of therapy is. The goal of therapy is to get people to a point where they don't need it anymore. But I wanna try and center this conversation around Christianity, because I think we've arrived at this very unhealthy place in our society where we have to repress everything, and we have to just become this complete shell of who we really are. Look, I'm going to be honest, and I hope anybody that goes to church, or anybody that's ever been a devout Christian, hears what I have to say. I do not want to go into a church anymore where the first guy that I see at the door isn't genuinely happy to see me. He just has this forced plastered smile on his face, like the Joker. But it's not real. It's not genuine. And I know I'm going to go ahead and talk about astrology again, because I think this is interesting. And I'm not some devout astrology nut or anything. I know the basics and that's it, but I'm just going to go ahead and give you guys a little bit of perspective here. So according to my astrology chart, my sun sign, based on my birthday, is a Taurus, right? But my moon and rising sign are both Cancer. So anybody that has any kind of Cancer in their chart is very, very intuitive. They can see right through people's bullshit instantly. And you can automatically tell who somebody is within the first 30 seconds of meeting them. Not always, but for the most part, we're pretty good bullshit detectors. We're pretty good lie detectors. we can tell when other people are lying to us, when other people are not being sincere, when they're being fake. We can see right through that. I guess Joe Rogan is wrong there. We don't need to mind read. We don't need Neuralink in our skulls to do that. I don't need some kind of mind reader, some kind of machine hooked on my head to see through other people's lies and their fakeness. Okay, so let's just go ahead and dismiss that altogether. But other people are very, very good. Certain other people are very good at masking it. Some people are very, very hard to read. Some people, when you meet them, they seem like they're pretty cool at initially, right? Seems like you guys are hitting it off okay, and they seem legit. They seem like the real deal. But then once you really start to get to know them over the course of months, years, then that's when you really, really start to see their true colors. And for me, when someone else's true colors start to come out, it's very, very easy for me to detect any kind of lies or deceit from them somewhere down the road, right? It's very, very easy for me to do that now. But you got to find out who you are. And I'm not talking about that in terms of your, what you want to do for a living or what you do for a career. I'm talking about who you are on an internal and on an external scale. Who is Matt Knight? Who is John Doe? Who is Mary Jane? Who are you? What is your humor style like? What makes you tick? What gets you riled up? What gets you upset? What gets you angry? Think about that. Because how can you really be confident? How can you really love yourself when you don't know yourself? It's hard to love somebody that you don't know. And it's equally as hard to try to love somebody else when you don't love yourself. It's just not going to work. If you were not consistently making a concerted effort to grow and to learn about yourself and to get better, then you're going to be equally as shitty to yourself as you would, to somebody else. You are not going to make a good friend. You are not going to make a good boyfriend, a good girlfriend, a good husband, a good wife. You're not going to make a good parent. You're not going to make a good son. You're not going to make a good daughter. You are just going to drop the ball in every area of your life if you do not, number one, find out who you are. Number two, find your purpose. Number three, learn to love yourself. Find whatever it is that makes you love yourself. That makes yourself good company for yourself. So then that way you can be good company for other people. It really is important, because it's really disheartening to me to see different generations of people that are just completely broken and insecure and sad and depressed. They feel aimless. They feel like They feel like they're wasting their time. They feel like they've made too many wrong decisions. They're really hard on themselves. They don't want to face reality. They don't want to look at themselves in the mirror. So many people are combative. So many people are overly protective over themselves. A lot of people are very closed off to other people. It's most people, if not everybody. All different generations of people now. Gen Zers, millennials, Gen X, boomers, I mean, we're all we're all at a very, I think, vulnerable, very volatile, um, we're all very, I think, I think it's time for a shift. And I think what's happening right now with everything that's going on, and it's crazy. I never thought that it would it would just get out of control like this. But I think it kind of has to, in order to get other people to get people to realize that they don't we don't have the luxury of just wandering around aimlessly and being depressed and not moving and not making a change and not being a positive force in other people's lives. We do not we do not have the we just we don't have the luxury that we think we do to do that. We really don't, because everything's changing so quick. You know, things are getting a lot harder. People are more depressed. I'm not really sure how much time we have left here, so I'm gonna go ahead and end it with this story. So, okay, let's go ahead and hurry up and tell this story real quick. So, I ran into this lady the other day at the gym. She's an elderly woman. She's in her 70s, and she teaches one of the classes at the gym. I've known her for close to a decade. She used to work at the other gym that closed right down the street from me. And we were talking, and I don't know, but somehow or another, COVID got slipped into the conversation. I think I brought something up like my memory. My memory is not as good as it was five years ago. I'm dealing with a lot of brain fog, and I'm trying to manage my sleep as much as I can in order to mitigate that and to get better. But for whatever reason, COVID got wedged into the to the conversation. And she was saying that, hey, you know what? Maybe the reason why you have such why your memory sucks is because of COVID. COVID will do that to people. And I told her, well, no, that's not true. COVID is a very mild symptom of the flu. Look, if you get the flu for 2 weeks, you are not going to get permanent cognition damage for the rest of your life after a really bad flu season. You're just not. It doesn't happen. The only way that you start to get really that your memory starts to decline, especially if you're really young like me, is because one, you're not getting enough sleep. Two, you're not your diet. You don't have a clean diet. You don't work out. You don't train. But anyway, so we talked about COVID, right? And I tried to explain to her that, hey, you know what? Look, this is what COVID is, and blah blah blah. I'm not going to get into all the details about COVID because I'm just so tired of talking about it. But we started arguing, and we were talking about how the law. I brought it up. I was talking about the fact that the reason why people's memories are so slow and why people are so their anxieties through the roof, their depressions through the roof, suicides are through the roof, is because we were locked down and weren't able to gather. We weren't able to go to church or go to the gym for a year and a half, right? And that can do a lot of damage to your psyche over time if you are not interacting with other people, if you are not engaging with other people, or you're not spending time with the people that you care about. I mean, think about it like this. What would you do to the worst prisoners? What would you do to the sickest, most just absolutely morally bankrupt human beings inside of a prison? You put them in isolation. That's how you punish them, because they start to go crazy, right? They start to lose all of their mental faculties. That is essentially what our government was doing to us for a year and a half. For most of 2020 and some of 2021, it was like that. And I was telling her that is the reason why so many people are struggling mentally right now. And she was trying to tell me that, oh no, it's because of COVID. Okay, well, assuming that COVID exists, because I actually, you go ahead and call me a COVID denier if you want, or whatever, or that I don't care about people. But to me, it doesn't exist. But even if it does exist, it has less than a 1% mortality rate. And and if it affects anybody, it'll affect elderly people or people with very weak and compromised immune systems. And still, I don't know how we're still here. I mean, almost 4 years later, where people, it's still not registering with some people, or maybe it is, but they don't want to believe it. They're still. I'm not trying to pick on anybody on the left, or I'm not trying to pick on liberals or anything. That's not what I'm here to do. But I do notice a really bad habit of theirs that once they are told something, or once they are told to believe something, they are going to die on that hill for the rest of time. And they're gonna make themselves believe that they're these heroes, right? Or that they're these martyrs, because 2 or 3 years ago they were wearing masks in grocery stores, or they were wearing gloves, or they took the jab, right? They still believe that they're these heroes that protected everybody around them, that protected themselves, that protected their grandparents. But I think, I don't think a lot of people really talk about this. Even people that are conservatives or libertarians, I don't think anybody's talking about this. I think the reason why people subscribe to a certain narrative and why they want to play these martyr roles, or they want to play these victim roles, right? Because that's what the left is telling them to do. is because they're very damaged people. They were hurt. And that's most of them. Yeah, sure, there's the occasional, you know, leftist, or somebody that believes in leftist ideology that, had parents that were hippies and their parents were cool with them and that their parents let them do whatever they want. But that's very rare. Most of it stems from the fact that most people are not growing up in healthy households, physically, emotionally, or what have you. A lot of people are damaged, a lot of people are hurt. And that's why most people, they're latching on to these leftist narratives, or they're latching on to these right-wing narrative, right? Or right-wing narrative, usually has something to do with Christianity, or has something to do with organized religion, where if you engage in certain activities, you're not a Christian. If you smoke weed, that means if you smoke weed or take edibles, not only are you not a Christian, but you're a loser, right? You smoke weed or you take edibles maybe once a week, and all of a sudden that means that you're a loser that is not productive and doesn't want to do anything. That's a comment that's still a current typical right wing take. But I think in order to weigh the scales, I think in order to see where we might be able to meet each other in the middle somehow, is by having some humility and finding out what your purpose is. And whatever your purpose is, are you being honest with yourself? Are you being authentic? When you look in the mirror, are you proud of who you see staring back at you? I'm gonna go ahead and tell you another story, and then I promise we'll wrap this up. But last night, I took a couple of edibles, and by the way, for some of you that probably already know, I'm not a daily user anymore like I used to be. I only really do that like once a week. That's all I really need, because the one thing that you don't want to do that nobody talks about this, but if you're a daily weed smoker or you take edibles daily, maybe you take it at night before you go to bed so that you can sleep. It's not good for you to do it that often like that, because what happens is THC will replace dopamine, and you need dopamine in order to motivate yourself to get going. You need dopamine to be happy, to be content, to have joy in your life. And if you replace it with THC, not that THC is necessarily a bad thing, but if you overdo it and maybe you smoke all day, or maybe you're doing it every single day, it will. Marijuana is one of these. It's interesting with marijuana, because people are still talking very negatively about it. Like, I just talked to a guy last night about it, and he was talking about how it slows you down and this, that, or the other. And there's still people out there that believe that, and I do agree that it has the potential to ruin you. It has the potential to negatively affect your life if you're doing it too much. But I don't think it's going to upend your life like alcohol will, or like meth, or like heroin, or even cocaine. It's just, even if you're driving, right? Even if you're driving, I'm going to go ahead and leave that part out. But so last night I got home. I took a couple of edibles, and I went to my room, and I was changing, right, and I was changing right next to the mirror in my bedroom, and another interesting thing about marijuana is that, and I think it's I think it's one of the few reasons why people poo-poo on it so much, is because it actually forces you to take a good look in the mirror. You know, maybe you're not this new person that you claim to be. Maybe you're not this martyr that you're trying to paint yourself out to be. Maybe in some ways you're still kind of a piece of shit. Marijuana, if you do it the right way, it will shine a light on who you really are. And it can be a very tough pill to swallow. And so I took so I was changing, and I was looking directly in the mirror, and I mean, it was weird. And I mean, don't get me wrong, it wasn't a bad trip or anything, but I was looking directly at the mirror, into my own reflection. And it was weird because I was barely blinking. I was just looking at myself dead in the mirror. I was just staring at myself like some stranger is just staring at me. And I look, I'm not exaggerating when I tell you guys this, that when I was staring at myself in the mirror, I did not like who was staring back at me. It legitimately felt like there was a different guy staring at me. Like what is this guy doing in my room? How did he get into my room? And why is he staring at me like that? And, you know, prior to taking those edibles, I was having a really just off day. You know, I just couldn't deal with anybody. You know, I was like, you know, throwing, you know, just my usual pity party for myself. And sorry, I'm almost done. And you know, I was just down. You know, and I was playing victim. Like I'm gonna just keep it 100 with you guys. That I was playing the victim. I was just feeling sorry for myself. And when I was looking at myself in the mirror, it was almost as though like I was staring directly into the eyes of someone who was trying to sabotage me, who is trying to bring me down, it was like I was looking to the eyes of my enemy. And, you know, there's a couple of possibilities that come to mind for me. I really do believe that it could have been a demon, or it could have been Satan taking my place. And it was terrifying. It was scary, guys. I think I abruptly started looking away because I just couldn't deal with it anymore. But I think everybody needs to do that. I think everybody, I think we all need to do a very close, deep dive on who we are individually. I think we need to reflect, because you can avoid it all you want. You can deny it. You can sweep it under the rug, but it's always going to be there. It's always going to follow you. And if you do not deal with it, if you do not confront your fears, if you do not give yourself that reality check that you've always needed, life is not going to get better. You are not going to get better. And nobody else is going to get better for you if you do not make yourself better. That's just the reality. I mean, there's so many different things that happen. There's so many external outside forces that we're in conflict with. But at the end of the day, you have to learn what your purpose is. You have to learn to love yourself. You have to learn to enjoy your own company. You have to be your own positive force in your life. No matter what's going on right now. No matter what's going on in terms of like what's happening in this country, what's happening politically, or what's going on with astrology. Jupiter is in retrograde. Like Pluto is in retrograde. It does not matter. The world could end tomorrow, and it still wouldn't matter. The only thing that matters right now is who you are. Really think about that. Who are you really? And who do you say you are? Go ahead and write that down, you guys. If you have a pen or paper, if you have a journal, that's even better. Who are you really? And if you think that you know who you are, who does what you're trying to portray to the outside world, is it actually compatible with who you really are internally? Because both have to match. There's the internal, and then there's the external. So really think about that, you guys. But we're gonna go ahead and wrap this up. I hope that you guys have a great rest of your day. Probably don't have a lot of time for meditation and prayer, but if you have a few minutes, go ahead and meditate. Sit in silence. Make sure that the door is closed, or make sure that you're if you have to go to the park to do that. If you have to be alone in your car to do that. Just reflect. Just take a few minutes to look deep into who you really are, and then pray. If and if prayer is something that you're just not ready for yet, or you're just not comfortable with yet, at the very least, just think about what we've talked about here today. Because again, it goes back to what we were talking about at the beginning. When it comes to the fitness journey, it has to be nice and slow and steady. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint. Same goes for your spiritual journey. The same goes for your relationship with God. If you're not ready, you're not ready. And if you try to force it, it's not going to make any kind of difference. You're still going to be exactly the same as you were before you started praying. You have to be ready. So Not really sure how much time we have. Sorry, guys. At this point, I'm just kind of flying by the seat of my pants here. But if we have some time, let's go ahead and meditate for a little bit, and then we're gonna go ahead and end this with pray. And if you're not comfortable, or if you feel like you're not ready to pray with me, that's okay. You can sit or you can listen, whatever you want to do. But let's go ahead and reflect. Let's go ahead and sit in silence, and you can keep your eyes open, close them, whatever you want to do. Okay, let's go ahead and pray. Dear Lord, thank you so much for today's message. Thank you so much for bringing us here, even though there's there's nobody in here that's like physically here right now. But for anybody that's watching, I just pray that you will give us peace, and that you will help us have enough peace and have enough humility to reflect and get to know who we really are as individuals, the very individuals that you have created to fulfill your will for us here on this earth. To finish the mission, Lord, to carry on, to not give up. Please give us the strength, give us the courage, please help us to get to develop the confidence we need in order to finish what we've started, to make the world a better place, and to make it better for you. Thank you, Lord. And I just pray that whoever's watching this will be able to reflect and to heal and to do whatever they need to do in order to
May I have your attention,
become the person that they want.
The library will close in 15 minutes. If you have any items
All right, guys.
to check out, please check them out now. The study room.
Really sorry about the lady over here, but I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and until next time, I hope that you have a great rest of your day, and may the Lord bless you and strengthen you, and I love you guys. Have a great rest of your day. Talk to you soon.